Parliamentary Press Gallery Association, and also the colleagues from the media institutions that are deployed outside of this parliament. We would also like to extend a special thanks to the broadcasters, and of course that includes our parliamentary television for transmitting this important media briefing live to ensure that the great majority of South Africans are able to receive and to get the message that will be communicated today. As we are about to begin with the media briefing, I humbly request that all phones be put on silence. I think you can still tweet and Facebook and do whatever while your gadgets are on silence. Ladies and gentlemen, the Speaker of the National Assembly has requested that this media briefing be called, and she is invited here to announce the decision that she has taken with regard to the appropriate voting method that will be followed regarding the motion of no confidence in the President of the Republic of South Africa that is scheduled tomorrow, the 8th of August, 2017. So the Speaker needs no introduction. She's not alone. She is accompanied by the Deputy Speaker on her right, the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Ntate Lechesa Zenodi. She is also accompanied by the presiding officers in the National Assembly. From my left, Mayor Boroto, who is the chairperson for international relations in the National Assembly, followed by, on my left, further left, Metoko Didiza, who is the chairperson for internal arrangements, and on the far left, that is Cedric Frolick, who is the chairperson of committees. So without any waste of time, I'm going to invite thank you. And least but not least, I nearly forgot the Secretary of the National Assembly, Mr. Kaso, Masubule Kaso. So you will bear with us that with regard to the press conference of this nature, it is the first of its kind. It is unprecedented. Decisions relating to motions of no confidence are normally done by way of a simple media statement to the media and by responding to the relevant parties that have requested for such a motion of no confidence. So the Speaker of the National Assembly has decided on this kind of method of communicating this specific particular decision that she has taken through a media conference because of the huge interest from the public with regard to this decision. So in that context, the Speaker will not be taking any questions. She will be presenting the decision. She will just be presenting the decision. And the decision that she's going to be presenting, we do not believe that it will require any further clarification. It will be comprehensive, and all of us will appreciate that it is the background has been well provided. So without any waste of time, I'm going to invite the Speaker of the National Assembly to come and make the announcement. Speaker.
Mr. Mchako, I'm very sorry to do this. Press conferences are by their very nature interactive. Here to hear what the leaders have to say, we do need an opportunity to ask further questions. It's a press conference, not a signal. Please, if you speak out, we would love an opportunity to engage with you when you come. Thank you.
You will announce about
Yes. We appreciate what you are saying, Mr. Kokeli, but let's give the Speaker an opportunity to present the announcement, and any further questions will be dealt with at an appropriate time. We will organize a follow-up session where we can be able to give further clarification with regard to the announcement that is going to be made. Speaker.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the media and everybody participating in this important media interaction. May I start off by apologizing that we will disappoint you by not giving you an immediate opportunity, not because we are not willing to engage with you on whatever issues you will want to further explore, but we will arrange for that at a different moment. Fellow South Africans, following the Constitutional Court decision that I, as Speaker of the National Assembly, have the constitutional power to prescribe the voting procedure in a motion of no confidence in the President of the Republic of South Africa to be conducted in the National Assembly, either by way of a secret ballot or open vote, and having taken due, independent, and impartial consideration of all the legal, constitutional, and political factors below, especially those articulated by the Constitutional Court, in a balanced and rational manner, bearing in mind that some of these factors may be contradictory in nature. I take this opportunity to present to the country my decision on the matter. I have taken this extraordinary approach in the interests of transparency and also having taken account of the huge interest in this matter, which has been expressed in various quarters of society. I therefore wish to appeal to members of the media that I will not take questions after this briefing, as I've already said. At the outset, I wish to indicate that it is always important for societal actors, in particular political parties, to have confidence in our courts and in our parliament. I therefore find the public pronouncements and calls that the Speaker will act in a partisan manner reprehensible and unpalatable for our democracy. I am elected by the Assembly to perform the role of Speaker, and as long as that has not changed, I will not recuse myself. Thus, the call for the Speaker to recuse herself from the proceedings tomorrow has no constitutional basis and therefore legally misplaced. Fellow South Africans, all facts, factors, circumstances, and information available to me that I have taken into consideration in making this decision include the following. On the 22nd June 2017, the Constitutional Court ruled that a vote of no confidence in the President of the Republic of South Africa is constitutionally permissible whether through an open vote or secret ballot, and that I, as the Speaker of the National Assembly, have the constitutional power to decide the voting procedure for such vote of no confidence. So, although the Constitution does not prescribe a specific voting procedure for the removal of the President by way of a motion of no confidence, it does permit for a voting procedure which may be either by way of an open vote or secret ballot, and the making of such decision lies exclusively with the Speaker in terms of the rules of the National Assembly. I am mindful of the fact, and the Constitutional Court has reminded me of this fact, that I, as Speaker, when exercising this exclusive constitutional power to determine the procedure of voting in a motion of no confidence, must do so on a proper and rational basis. In this respect, I inter alia invited the political parties who are represented in the National Assembly to provide me with submissions on their views of the matter, and also requested to be provided with legal advice, which I took into consideration before deciding this matter. I understand and accept that a motion of no confidence in the President is a very important matter, a potent tool towards holding the President to account, one connected to the foundational values of accountability and responsiveness to the needs of the people, that it constitutes one of the severest political consequences imaginable, especially that a threat of a motion of no confidence, quote, will remain virtually inconsequential in the absence of an effective operationalizing mechanism to give it the vital bite when necessary, close quotes. I also understand and accept that central to the freedom of a member of parliament, open quote, to follow the dictates of personal conscience, close quotes, is the fact that the member takes an oath of office of faithfulness to the Republic and obedience to the Constitution and laws, and there is no constitutional obligation for a member to swear allegiance to his or her political party. Therefore, when I exercise this constitutional power, I understand and accept that I must be duly guided by the need to ensure that members exercise their oversight powers effectively. And it must be in the interest of the people and in obedience of the Constitution to enable effective accountability of and over the executive. I have also considered the fact that the Constitutional Court has indicated that a motion of no confidence in the President of the Republic of South Africa is a very important matter. In fact, it is a very important tool used to hold the President to account. I am cognizant of the fact that the Constitutional Court also enjoined me, when exercising this power, to take into account considerations of the foundational constitutional principle of openness and transparency entrenched in the Constitution. I am particularly mindful of the fact that Section 1D of the Constitution sets openness as a foundational principle for the Constitution and our democracy. The Constitution further instructs that the National Assembly must conduct its business in an open manner. As representatives of the electorate, members are not supposed to always operate under a cover of secrecy. Considerations of transparency and openness sometimes demand a display of courage and resoluteness to boldly advance the interests of those that they represent, no matter the consequences, including the risk of dismissal for non-compliance with party instructions. The Constitutional Court indicated that the electorate is at times entitled to know how their representatives carry out even some of their most sensitive obligations, and this includes voting in a motion of no confidence. However, this reality may not always be possible where there are instances of intimidation. In terms of the Constitutional Court judgment, if members are constitutionally obliged to vote according to their conscience, it follows that no member can suffer any harm, hardship, or punitive action if they comply with the Constitution and vote according to their conscience. A reading of the Constitutional Court judgment suggests that any action of a political party against a public representative who voted in accordance with their conscience may be struck down for violating the Constitution. The value of openness and transparency is always our natural manner of conducting business, and which we should never take for granted. The Constitutional Court has, however, compelled us to consider a variety of other factors. The Constitutional Court has indicated that a secret ballot becomes necessary where the prevailing atmosphere is toxified or highly charged. It is my duty to act responsibly when I assess how my decision will impact all members. I have conducted a thorough assessment of the situation and how it will impact on all members. The Speaker must maintain and preserve the order of and the proper decorum in the House, and uphold the dignity and good name of the House. Parliament is a forum for public consideration of issues. This Parliament is seized with a responsibility to deal with complex issues. The people of South Africa look to Parliament to give direction during challenging times. We must dare not underestimate this privilege and responsibility. The people of South Africa also look to Parliament for signals of hope. I have considered the environment and heard voices expressing doubt in the integrity and values of our 20-year-old Constitution. We therefore have to use this opportunity to show responsiveness to our people. This decision is therefore in the best interest of the country. The Speaker is required to guard the procedures of this House and to ensure that the outcome of this very important vote is credible. The Speaker must do this without fear or favor. It is with that in mind that this decision is also about putting the resilience of our democratic institution to test. Having considered all the factors and mindful of the fact that this decision is not setting a precedent, I determine that voting on the motion of no confidence in the President on the 8th August 2017 that cough comes at a strategic moment. I therefore determine that voting on the motion of no confidence in the President on the 8th of August 2017 will be by secret ballot. Thank you very much.
Honourable Speaker, that cough must be ruled out of order. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention. I thank the Speaker, I thank the presiding officers for coming, and I thank you also for coming. The statement, the full statement that has just been presented will be in your mailboxes as soon as possible. Thank you.
Well, there we have it, National Speaker of Parliament, Baleka Mbete, announcing the decision on the vote of no confidence on President Jacob Zuma. She definitely declared that the vote will definitely be by secret, and it came as the country waited to hear if the vote of no confidence will be done through a secret that she has already announced. And joining us from our Pretoria studio is Professor Lesiba Tifo, a political analyst who will help us to unpack what the decision really means. A very good afternoon to you, Professor. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Baleka Mbete has decided that the secret motion of no confidence on Zuma will be in secret. What does it mean?
Well, look, either way it would have gone. I had a position, and I still hold that position, that is immaterial with regard to tomorrow's outcome. But it is significant that she took that position, saying to the nation, I've heeded the call, I've heard voices, I got superior legal advice, I heard the Council of Churches, and many people in the street desirous of a secret vote, because in there people have at least some hope that the will of the majority on the ground could prevail and the president could be out of office tomorrow. But I don't think that's what the outcome would be in any event, because there is much at stake here. The individuals who are supposed to vote are going to be informed in the main by self-interest and self-preservation as individuals and indeed as members of the party. In there lies the flaws that make this a possibility. The Electoral Act of the Republic of South Africa, had it been based on the constituency, constituency system, I would nail my colors to the mast and say, yes, tomorrow would have been Zuma's last day in office. But other than that, he will still live on perhaps until March next year, should Cyril Ramaphosa win in December.
Now, Professor, what do you make of the views that, passing a vote of no confidence is highly undemocratic and will subvert the will of the people?
No, far from it. Far from it. Remember, you are represented by the people. You are a representative of the people. You must listen to the will of the people. Remember, there is a social contract that we enter into as public representative. But through this X, I send you to Parliament. And through the very X, I can recall you from Parliament. And your manifesto says to me, I shall live up to the manifesto as sold out to you. And if I fail, you recall me. So I think she did very well in the circumstances, regardless of the outcome. Heeding the call of the people on the ground. There is a clarion call. There is hope that things could be different tomorrow. But that I hold a different view doesn't mean the people on the ground are wrong. But if anything, they are sending a strong message to the ruling party that you have run a good race, but it is time out. But we need a process that will yield ultimately their vacation of the office.
Now, the removal of the president, of course, will have disastrous consequences that can only have a negative impact on the people of South Africa. Could that be the reason why the Speaker kept on pushing the announcement?
Well, you see, we tend to forget that we have had a president recalled, and indeed the heavens did not collapse. And I don't know, a more credible and respected CEO of the country than what we have right now. And the heavens did not collapse. Neither would they collapse would it succeed tomorrow. But I think the people are merely saying that it would have been nice, more prudent, if it was an electoral process that yields, right, his vacation of the office. But the circumstances and this juncture, they are calling on the people of South Africa and the public representative to look into themselves and say, perhaps indeed it is time to recall this man, and then we'll deal with the situation. Successful democracies in the world are not worried about the political actors. The main people who matter most, in South Africa we call DGs. in other parts of the world are called secretary generals. Those are the people who hold power. Those are the administrators. Politicians can go, politicians can go. But in South Africa, we have DGs. Unfortunately, they are aligned to political parties. Unfortunately, they are aligned to the tenure of the particular minister. But in other parts of the world, it has nothing to do with the tenure of the minister. If he or she goes, you still hold your office, for you are not partisan. But let somebody say to me, most of them are not employees and party apparatus. And indeed, some are party hacks, with due respect.
So if the motion of no confidence passes tomorrow, what will happen? Take us through the steps and the processes.
Oh no, that one is prescribed and complicated, simple and straightforward. The Speaker of Parliament for the next 30 days will be in charge of the country. And indeed, that might also boost her prospects of becoming head of state, as she undoubtedly harbors the ambition, and at least giving credit to her. She has been frank and open, and the process was launched in the Eastern Cape. After that, within 30 days, there must be an election of a new head of state. And the reason why I say the heavens will not fall if Zuma were to go tomorrow is because the ANC still has the majority in parliament. The ANC would still elect a president among themselves who will take us forward. And then the Chief Justice, Mogoeng, will preside on a particular day, given a name by the majority party in parliament, which is the ANC, and indeed, he will do the official thing and pronounce that indeed you are head of state. It's not very complicated, but sometimes because of political opportunism and expediency, we come with some red herrings. But I don't think it's a very complicated process. It's prescribed, it's doable. We have done it through Mbeki. Why should we think it will be different? Forget about the army. I think they are not stupid enough not to realize that Mbeki, if he was irresponsible, he could have invoked the intervention of the army, and that would have plunged us, perhaps even into a civil war or an undesirable situation. But he was at least patriotic enough to realize there is a possibility, but my country and the national flag and the constitution are far superior than my personal interests. I would rather live in dignity and pass the baton, whoever the people think could take them forward, rather than me be the one who's the author of the demise of a country he sacrificed so much for.
Now, the Speaker, Baleka Mbete, Professor, is at the moment enjoying her seat of power, obviously, and no doubt, and is commanding so much attention. So for a person having presidential ambitions, this is surely making President Zuma weak, doesn't it?
I don't think so. The man is weak, for all purposes and intents, the man is weak. There's no question about that. Even those who try to defend him, they cannot look an eye in the eye and say, they speak out of the conviction, right, that indeed he's worthy of being in the office. That is neither here nor there. Baleka Mbete, I think, has done and acquitted herself well by doing this. The prospects might be greater, but there are too many contenders. But I will say history will judge her favorably, because it was not an easy decision. Let's not make any mistakes. She has also earned herself a few enemies immediately after that pronouncement, especially within the party. And there are those who would say, you might have had my vote in December, but it is gone. But I suspect history will at least take a bar and doff its head when it passes by her grave in the future.
Now, Professor, let's go back to June the 22nd, wherein the Constitutional Court ruling was issued by Justice Mogoeng. Hours after that, shortly after that, President Jacob Zuma, during the Q&A session in Parliament, said that there is absolutely no reason to vote differently from what the members have been doing in the past motions of no confidence, an indicative of the fact that President Zuma still does have sway or political sway over the Speaker of Parliament and, of course, over the members of Parliament. But then does he really have sway at this point?
Well, the mathematics suggest to me, and self-interest suggests to me, that indeed he will prevail tomorrow. And incidentally, this morning, I had somebody, I think the PAC only has one representative in Parliament. And that meant, for him, he doesn't see any reason why Jacob Zuma should be recalled. he still talks about the imperialist and white monopoly capital. And hence some people said, there will be others who will vote with us or at least will abstain, which will therefore advance their interests. And the president also is a bit confident based on the fact that he knows that in the main, the people he appointed are obligated to him. In the main, some of them are not worthy of the offices they hold. And indeed, most of them, they know, if it were not for him, they wouldn't be where they are. And indeed, some of them are aware that when the man goes, they will never again set foot in parliament. So they would rather go with him down to the grave. For subsequent day, they may not be back in office. So there are many permutations that you can look at. And I nail my colors to the mast, and I'm prepared to eat humble pie. That yes, the vote will be very close, but not enough to carry the motion through.
Now, Professor, one political thought leader has just tweeted that if President Zuma is removed from office, he could be sworn in as MP immediately and be re-elected as president, regarding the fact that Parliament is still consisting of majority ANC MPs. Is that probable?
Yeah, but why would they do that? Because it will be the same people, again, who would be expected to contradict themselves. Remember, there are many good people in the ANC who are agonizing, who are really confronted with the Rubicon that they must cross, who are confronted, indeed, with major decisions that would become watersheds in terms of identity, history, and heritage. When I was called upon at that fateful moment, did I act in the interest of the nation, or did I act in self-preservation, in pursuit of self-interest? I know there are many good men and women who are agonizing, and indeed, this has made it possible for them now to take that step. Will it be enough? I doubt, but I can assure you it will be very close. And indeed, if they prevail, I will be among those who celebrate, but I maintain it won't be enough to carry the day, especially when you have people like those who represent the PAC, who are still thinking in the manner they do. But kudos to the likes of Gungubele, Mondli, Koza, because they also made us believe that there are good men and women in there, and with our support, with the support of the people and organizations that have gone public and taken to the street in marches, it was not easy for the Honorable Speaker to ignore them.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't at all. Professor, thank you so much for your time. But then do stay on the line, because we'll certainly cross over to you a little later, shortly after the opposition parties have made a media briefing in response to the Speaker of Parliament's decision to conduct the vote in secret. That is Professor Lesiba Steffo staying with us. We'll certainly be in touch with him a little later on in the show. And that is in relation to Baleka Mbete, reminding all that she's been given the mandate by the Constitutional Court to determine the voting procedure. She said the motion of no confidence is a very important tool to make the president accountable, and Mbete said that members are not supposed to operate under a cover of secrecy, and of course non-compliance will warrant dismissal as per the party rules. And if members vote according to their conscience, Mbete said that will attract no harm to them if it is done according to law. That is Speaker Baleka Mbete having declared that the motion of no confidence against President Jacob Zuma will be done in secret.